Okay, let's see who else is waiting. I'll give it just a few more minutes. We're still steadily trickling in here. Hope everybody's having a good evening. So just to prime whoever's in the room now, the way that we'll do this is we'll do about 20 to 30 minutes of concepts and going over what we're going to talk or what we're going to practice in the meditation. And then the meditation itself will last about 20 minutes. So we'll have plenty of time to talk. The whole block is we have a whole hour blocked off. So at the end of the meditation, if you'd like to cut out, please feel free to cut out. And whoever is left on, we can sit there and talk about whatever concepts that you'd like to go over, or any observations about the meditation itself. All right, everybody, we'll go ahead and kick it off now. So for now, the way that I'll go ahead and run it, like many meetings, is I'll go ahead and mute everyone. And then if you want to ask some questions while we're talking, you can type it into the chat, and I can address it when we have a moment, or I can unmute everybody before we begin the meditation, so we can make sure to all join in on it. And we got about all in there. Okay, Tahir says, I was asking, is this meditation specific for breathing? Yes, we're gonna be doing a lot of breathing. This is gonna be a mixture of breath work and mindfulness meditation. And I'll explain the framework as we go along. So we'll go ahead and get started now, and I'll keep checking the rooms to make sure that we let everybody in who's waiting. So my name is Ben. I'm honored to be leading these meditations for Stasis Performance. Josh and Dan invited me to lead these for everyone and try to meld a holistic framework for both breathing and meditation that can be beneficial and therapeutic, not only for someone who is trying to recover either from illness or trying to work on past events in their lives, but also just for basic life skills, just to improve our ability to cope with stress. And I mean, these trying times right now, this is a great time to practice meditation and contemplative practices. So my background, I came to meditation, I learned meditation about 25 years ago. I started with mindfulness meditation. And over the years, I had an intermittent practice. I used meditation to learn how to help focus my mind for learning language. And while I was in language school, it worked for me. I was able to focus my attention and pass my language training. And I kept an intermittent practice over the years. And I ended up going to Iraq and Afghanistan, deploying to those theaters of conflict. And after my last deployment from Afghanistan, I had a lot of common issues that a lot of people experience. I was unable to relax. I was unable to control or regulate my affect, meaning my emotional affect. I was unable to regulate how I was interacting with the world and how I was interacting with people. My relationships were suffering, particularly with my wife and children. I had emotional outbursts. I was unable to control my emotions. There was one incident where somebody came to my car when I was stopped at a red light and was asking for money, and I was amazed by my instantaneous trigger. I started yelling at the man for no reason whatsoever. I was completely unable to regulate my affect. I didn't realize that the triggering of my environment was causing me to react in ways that I could not foresee or control. And I didn't realize that I needed to practice and train my mind to respond in ways that would be beneficial. And over time, I finally committed to a practice to train my mind and to interact with my body in a way that was beneficial. Over the last 3 years of having a regular and consistent practice, it has benefited me greatly. My practice, I developed for myself a practice that combined yogic breath work, contemplation, meditation, and yoga asana, which is the posture in yoga. Though that combination of practice helped me reconnect with my body, helped me reconnect with my ability to control my emotions, my ability to interact with others in meaningful ways, my own purpose in life. So that led me to want to share these practices with other people and to help anyone to develop a practice of their own. And that is the goal of these 12 weeks, of the one practice per week for 12 weeks. The goal is to ultimately help you formulate a practice of your own so that you can use that practice on a regular basis in your life and formulate that practice for however you need to for what will serve you in the present moment. And so over these next 12 weeks, what I'll do is we'll have a basic framework, and within that framework, I will introduce tools that we can practice. The tools will always include the same meditative, mindful framework, but I will introduce different breath tools that we can use over time. Let me check real quick and see if there's anybody else waiting. Okay, I think we're good for now. So we'll start with very simple breath techniques in a mindful meditative modality. And then I'll introduce other modalities over time, such as visualization, mantra, and I'll explain the purpose behind these tools and how we can use them to benefit our lives. So the basic framework that we'll be using here is it's called mindfulness meditation, and you may have heard about mindfulness. Mindfulness, what is mindfulness? Mindfulness, the most basic definition I can give you of mindfulness is present moment awareness, awareness in the present moment, and experiencing the present moment without judgment. So we will practice experiencing everything there is to experience in the present moment, and letting whatever is in the present moment be. Understanding that we are literally made of two minds. We have two hemispheres of the brain, left brain and right brain. Those two hemispheres work together to put together a picture of reality in the present moment. The left brain speaks in language. It's the seat of the ego. It's the seat of logic. It looks into the past and the future. It looks to the past and the future. It plays simulations of things that happen in the past and the future, so that we can plan for the future. We can overcome experiences in the past and for better survival. The right brain exists only in the present moment. The right brain is all about sensations, what's happening right now. We tend to live in the left brain on a regular basis. We live in the left brain because we have things to do. We have to make appointments. We have to put on pants in the morning. We have to get up in the morning. We have to go to work. We have expectations that we have to meet. It's this seat of ego and narrative and story tells us stories about ourselves and our lives, and whatever we tell ourselves is true. Whatever story we tell about ourselves and our lives is true. Our bodies don't know the difference. Our bodies don't know whether or not a stressor, a minor stressor, is something that is actually going to cause us harm or pain. So any minor stressor that is in our lives, the body perceives as a real threat. So our left brain, the seat of language, logic, the ego, our construct of self, is able to ruminate about all of these things in our lives over and over and over again. These ruminations end up being expressed through the body, physically. Emotions especially have all physical representations in the body. And so through mindfulness meditation, what we can do is begin to expand our awareness to include all of the things that include the present moment, all of the sensations, not just the one thing that's really bothering us right now. When we focus and ruminate over and over again on one single thing, that thing consumes us, whatever that may be. And if we are able to not just pay attention, let's say, like, for example, I'm recovering from knee surgery. I have a lot of discomfort and pain in my knee. That consumes me on some days. Like if I am only aware of the pain in my knee, that pain becomes my reality in this moment. Whatever that is, that it's pain, that's what I'm focused on. But if I practice awareness and I practice living in the present moment, I can connect with all of the sensations that are present in my body at the time. The feeling of air on my skin, the sounds of birds outside, the seat, my feet hitting the floor. I can concentrate on my breathing. I can feel things inside the body. I can connect with emotions that reside in the body. I can connect with thoughts. I can contemplate things. There are so many things that exist in the present moment. And what happens is when we ruminate and tell stories about ourselves and just sit with those stories over and over and over again, that becomes our present moment. The present moment is stolen from us. In my experience of dealing with the stress, the cumulative stress of combat, my mind was always somewhere else. My mind was living in the past, was stuck somewhere else with something that I was with a place where I no longer was. And so with these ruminations that constantly get played over and over and over again, that ends up being expressed physically through the body. And it works like that with any sort of trauma, with any kind of trauma, with any recovery from any kind of illness. When we play those sensations over again, those stories over again in our head, those sensations are brought back up and expressed through the body. And so when I say that we'll practice mindfulness, I'll take you through a framework that will help us connect with everything in the present moment, everything that there is to experience in the present moment. So let's talk about some of the benefits of meditation. Why is it good to meditate? There are a lot of good physical and mental benefits. So just starting off from the bat, cardiovascular function can be modified. It changes the way that we age. It increases an enzyme in our bodies that protects our chromosomes. When we take ourselves into a safe place and integrate function of the brain, it has beneficial physiological effects on us all the way down to the way we age. It affects our immune system. We can upregulate or downregulate our immune system based on how we're breathing, based on how we're perceiving the present moment and our safety factor in the present moment. So every time we have stressors that bombard us and we ruminate on stressors, that increases our level of threat in our bodies. Our bodies perceive it. Our bodies don't know the difference. So our bodies respond and release different hormones, different chemical compounds, cortisol being one of the big ones, that change the way our bodies age, our bodies respond to sickness, and change the way that our bodies recover from anything, just our ability to sleep. And it changes our brain's ability to integrate experience. And this is a big one. It changes our ability to integrate experience on a moment-to-moment basis. So the practice of mindfulness, the practice of any meditative modality, not just mindfulness, but any meditative modality, can help us change our neuroplasticity, which is the way that the brain reacts to experience, the way that the brain takes experience and integrates it in the structures within the brain and the architecture within the brain. So as we are having experiences, when we are able to integrate those experiences in the mind, we're able to connect one neuron to another neuron, and we can have billions and billions and billions of connections within our brain. It's incredible. We have a finite amount of cells in our brain, but we don't have a finite amount of connections. And that's what meditation can do for us. It can increase not necessarily the amount of cells in the brain, but the amount of connections in the brain that we have. The structure can be altered, and that can increase our ability to control our emotions. It can increase our ability to learn. It can increase memory. Imaging done Functional MRIs that are done on brains of meditators, of long-time meditators, show a lot of interconnection from brain structures, far more than people who don't contemplate anything, or people who suffer from addiction, or people who have stagnated in their ability to learn and take on new experiences, people who are isolated. So we can practice we can practice feeling all the sensations that we can feel in the present moment, sitting with whatever thoughts we have in the present moment, parsing all of that data out and connecting it and making meaning and sense out of it. And we can practice over and over again our ability to connect with not only what's in our own minds, but connect with the people around us. And that's part of the framework that I'll introduce to you. So let me take a pause real quick and see if anyone else is waiting in the room. Okay, cool. So I'll get into now the goals, the specific goals for the meditation. We're gonna practice three main things when we meditate. The first thing we're gonna practice is focusing our attention. We're gonna practice the ability to choose our object of awareness. When we practice choosing our object of awareness, we can choose where to move our awareness within the great sphere of awareness, of consciousness itself. We can choose which object of awareness we want to focus on. So if I am feeling pain from my knee that's recovering, I can be lost in the conduition of that sensation, or I can choose to explore everything else that there is to sense in conscious. I can focus my attention on all the other stuff that's available to focus on, instead of just that one thing. So over time, we can choose to focus our attention on that which serves us in the moment. And what we're really doing when we're practicing these things, when I say we're practicing choosing our attention, choosing our focus of attention, is that we're once again changing the structure of the brain. We're connecting and strengthening neurons and firing patterns in the brain that allow us to change our attention and focus our attention. Whatever we direct our energy towards in the brain, that's what the brain starts to grow around. Whatever we experience, that's what architecture is built in the brain. So if we have a self-directed experience, such as meditation, where we constantly practice choosing our focus of attention, our brain will will grow neural networks in the brain that will help us be stronger at choosing the focus of our attention. So that's the first thing we're going to do, is practice focusing the attention. The second thing we will do is we'll practice what's called open monitoring or open awareness. We will practice sitting with open awareness to allow ourselves to receive all the energy information that's passing through us and around us. The conduition of the senses, thoughts, emotions. We will allow these things to pass through us, and we will notice them when they pass into consciousness and awareness. We're not going to give them the Heisman. We're not going to block them out. We're going to allow them to come into awareness, and we will acknowledge them. And we're going to acknowledge them without judgment. That's very important, that we acknowledge them without judgment. We will practice over and over and over again. We will practice not judging ourselves. We'll practice being kind to ourselves. And that's the last part. That's the third one. We'll practice kind intention. So when we practice being kind to the self, it changes our ability to be kind to others. It changes our ability to connect with other people. It changes our ability to feel compassion and feel empathy when we are able to be kind to the self. So we won't be able to be kind, or we will have a lesser degree to be kind to others if we cannot be kind to the self. And so we will learn to practice being very mindful of the language that we use when we speak to ourselves. We'll be very mindful of the judgments that we make about our own thoughts. We will practice being aware that we are not our thoughts, that we exist separately from our thoughts, and that we can separate from our thoughts and observe them. We can observe our thoughts and then integrate them into the whole. So to recap those three things that we're going to practice focused attention, open awareness, and kind intention. Those are the three things we're really going to focus on. And within the meditative framework, and I will introduce the framework really quickly, and then we'll spend, don't worry about the framework, don't worry about memorizing it. I will continuously guide you through this framework. And the good thing is that it's easy to remember, and you can look it up online and be refreshed on it if you happen to forget, like what are the categories of it. So with focused attention, kind intention, and open awareness, we will work in what's called the Wheel of Awareness framework. The Wheel of Awareness is a framework for meditation that was coined by the work of Dr. Dan Siegel. He's a psychologist. He's got a lot of books out. You can check out his work. So this framework this framework and the meditation that we'll be doing and the breath work that is fit into it is inspired by the work of Dr. Dan Siegel. And the reason why I like this meditation is it's based on science. It is a collection of different modalities and different traditions that come into one modern framework for us, that if we go through the entire framework, we'll hit on all the important parts of meditation, all the important things they can do for us. So the way that this metaphor works, it's a metaphor. Imagine a wheel, and it has, at the center of the wheel is a hub. The hub of the wheel is awareness itself. The hub of the wheel is consciousness itself. Now, outside of the hub, you have a rim. The rim is the rim of the knowns. Those are all the things that can be known in the world. All the objects of awareness that of which we can be aware are located in the hub. And what we can do is from the hub, we can send a spoke of attention from the hub to the rim and become aware of objects of awareness. So that's the visualization of the wheel of awareness. Now the hub itself, all the knowns on the rim of the knowns. The rim itself is divided into 4 categories. So if you can imagine the rim divided into 4 parts, the first part that we'll focus on is the 5 senses. Very simply, we'll just connect with the 5 senses. So hearing, sight, smell, taste, and last touch. The second part that we will move, we will imagine moving a spoke from the hub to connect with the rim, we will connect with internal sensations of the body. So everything that's inside the organs, the bones, joints, muscles, anything that we can possibly sense that's inside the body. The third category that we'll be connecting with is our emotions, the emotional and mental landscape of the body. So we will connect with any thoughts, emotions, anything that comes into awareness that is part of the mental landscape. We'll allow to come to awareness with open awareness. And the last part is our sense of interconnection with the world and other people around us. So we will allow ourselves to, with open awareness, to connect with our sense of connection to others, with nature, with anything that there is to connect with outside the self. And this last part is very important because we have beneficial physiological changes in us when we connect with others. We have the need to connect. And so we can practice connecting with this sense of being connected with other people. And it's very important in this time right now when we are at a very heightened state of disconnection. Many people feel extremely lonely. And those disconnected feelings have physiological effects within the body. And so we can practice, once again, we can practice where we send our mental energy is where we're going to build neural firing networks within the brain to help us connect with these feelings, to give us something to connect with when we're feeling isolated, lonely, and feelings of isolation and loneliness lead to feeling of threat and not being safe, which have, once again, manifestations in the body. So that is the Wheel of Awareness framework that we'll practice. And we'll start the meditation with a breath practice to help us settle down into stillness and awareness. And each meditation will practice a breath technique. The technique for today is a very simple one. It's called triangle breath. Now, there are different ways that we can breathe. We can breathe to activate the sympathetic nervous system, that's involved with a lot of fast and heavy breathing. Or we can breathe to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. Today, we're going to breathe very slowly and gently to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, to calm us down. That will help the body become very accustomed to slow breathing and helping to raise the level of CO2 in the body to help us become accustomed to longer breaths. And then we will anchor into the breath, and then I will guide you through the rest of the meditation. Let me pause right there. What questions do you have for me? I know that's a lot of information, and I want to make sure to give you as much as possible before we begin, but I don't want to. Don't worry. The good news is that I'll guide you through the whole meditation. The whole thing, all you have to do is just sit there and listen to me, and we can do the work. But in the moment, you don't have to remember this in the moment. I'm just providing this to you, and you can just ask me any questions as we go along. So right now, what questions do you have for me? No questions? Okay. All righty. Let's see how we're doing on time here. Okay, good. Okay, so we'll start with the triangle breath. What that is an inhalation, then a suspension of breath. It's shaped like a triangle, an inhalation, a short suspension of breath, and then an exhalation. That suspension of breath, that is fully your choice of how long you would like to suspend the breath. The goal of this is to allow ourselves to enter into the stillness of a suspended breath. And one more thing before we begin, I want to go into some points on posture and the length of the meditation itself. When we meditate, if we need to, we can, like if we have a physical limitation, we can lie down flat. If there's anybody with dysautonomia or POTS, we can lay flat on the ground. If you ever feel discomfort or dizziness while you're sitting up, it's okay to lay down. The important part about meditating is that we have a straight and long spine. Thinking about it in nature, a straight spine is an alert mind. Sometimes lying down may give us the ability to fall asleep quickly. So it's okay just to sit up straight in a chair. We don't have to sit cross-legged on the floor. When I meditate, I personally like to sit cross-legged on the floor. If you do choose to sit cross-legged on the floor, some ways you can get comfortable is to elevate the hips above the knees. You can use something like this. It's a meditation cushion. There's a lot of different options for cushions that you can use. Here's another cushion that I have. I went through a lot of cushions before I realized the thing I like best to sit on is just a yoga block. This is a standard 4-inch yoga block that I sit on when I meditate on the floor. Another option is this is a Japanese Seiza bench. When my knees or hips aren't into sitting on the floor, I can sit on this and support my knees. So there are a lot of options, and the most important thing is just to sit with a comfortable straight spine, and we can do that just sitting in a chair. Right now I'm sitting on a couch, the only thing that we want to try to do is have a straight spine, whether that's sitting in a chair or lying on the ground. It's just if the worst thing that happens if you're lying on the ground is that you fall asleep, and then no big deal, then you get a nap out of it, and that's all right. So if you need to lie down, by all means lie down. There's no rules to that. Like, it's okay, and you can meditate in bed, before falling asleep or getting up in the morning. Okay. I want to make sure to give us the full amount of time we can. So we'll go ahead and settle in now, and I'll take you through the framework. Go ahead and take any last-minute adjustments that you need. Oops, I see. Hold on a second. I'm sorry. I see some questions now that just started. Okay, so right. So no, it doesn't matter if we sit you can either lay down or sit on a mat. It's totally your choice. There's a position. I have muted everyone, and you can unmute yourself if you need to. Okay, yeah, it's got all the questions. Okay, cool. All right. So go ahead and take any last minute adjustments that you need to make. Just get yourself into a comfortable position. And when you're ready, go ahead and just allow your eyes to gently close. Now, with your eyes closed, take a moment to acknowledge your state of body and your state of mind in this present moment. Just acknowledging the state of the body and the mind, understanding that we change from moment to moment and from breath to breath. Take a moment now to choose a way of being that can support you through this practice. You can set an intention. You can dedicate this practice to someone in need of compassion or love. It could be yourself. Choose a way that can carry you throughout this practice. It has been said that once the mind expands to a new idea, it can never return to its original dimension. May our practice teach us to expand the mind so that we may experience all there is to know in the present moment. And so we practice. Let's join in the breath together. Inhale through the nose. Hold and seal your intention. And exhale completely. Send your attention to the crown of the skull and let your attention flow throughout the body. Soften the muscles of the eyes, soften the jaw. Allow the shoulders to fall away from the ears. Make the spine long and light. Allow the shoulders to roll back. And send the attention and awareness throughout the body. And wherever you find any tension, just see if you can soften around it. Send the awareness through the arms to connect with each finger and through the legs to connect with each toe. And wherever you find any tension, just soften. Send your attention to the navel point and feel the belly expanding with each breath. Becoming aware of the breath now, breathing through the nose. Inhaling and creating space in the mind and body. Exhaling and occupying that space and deepening your relaxation. And joining in the breath together now. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 4. Pause. Exhale for 4. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale and create space. Suspend the breath. Feel the stillness of the moment. And exhale slowly. Continue with this breathing pattern. You can shorten the legs of the triangle. You can lengthen them. You can find the length of breath that serves you in this moment. Begin to notice the sensation of breathing as you inhale through the nostrils. Notice the stillness at the top, the stillness at the bottom. Follow the air as it enters the nostrils. Feel it moving over the throat into the lungs. And then follow it back out as it exits the body. As you continue to breathe, if you notice that you are lost in thought, just allow yourself to come back to the breath, being kind with the self. Just as you would be kind and gentle with a child, so we can be gentle with the mind. Practice gently guiding the mind back towards your chosen object of awareness. Which is, for now, the breath and the sensations of breathing. Connect with the sensation of your heart beating, which may be easier as the breath is suspended and you enter into stillness and silence. You may allow your heartbeats to keep pace of your breaths for you. This time you can release the triangle breath, or you may keep it. It's your choice of how you would like to breathe. Begin to open your awareness to the 5 senses. Start with hearing. Begin to discern each individual sound you can hear. Notice the quality of those sounds as you breathe. You hear the sound of your own breath. You may notice the space in between sounds. Once again, if you become lost in thought, you can just simply come back to the breath, back to your chosen object of awareness. Count it as a victory. And now send your attention to this sense of sight. Even though the eyes are closed, you can see colors and shapes. You can focus on those colors and shapes. Just allow yourself to notice them. Notice the quality of sounds have possibly changed now that you've changed your focus of attention. They haven't disappeared, but may have changed quality a bit. Now send your attention to the sense of smell and taste. You're sitting in a familiar room, it may be difficult to connect with that smell, but allow yourself with open awareness to get a sense of any scents that are in the air. Allow yourself to connect with the sense of taste. If you don't smell anything or taste anything at all, that's okay too. Now allow yourself to connect with your sense of touch. Skin, the largest organ of the body. You may notice that the skin is awash in sensations at all times. We can choose to focus on one sensation or another. You can feel air moving across the skin. Fabric against skin, places where skin is touching skin. Feet against the floor, against fabric, against a chair. You can feel the eyelids as they rest gently on the eyes. Air moving over the nostrils. Allow yourself to become a connoisseur of your own senses, discerning as much as there is possible to discern in this moment as you breathe gently and slowly. Now send your attention deep within the body. Once again, send your attention to the crown of the skull and let it flow throughout the body. Explore the inside of the body, the sensations within, the lungs and the heart, the muscles and joints. Allow yourself even to get a sense of the spaces in between. If you get lost in thought, just allow yourself to release that thought and come back to the present moment. Understanding that we will always have thoughts, and that's okay. The thoughts are what create the resistance for us to strengthen the mind. Thoughts are a good thing. They allow us to practice gently leading the mind in the direction of our choosing. Now send your attention to the inner landscape of thoughts and emotions. With open awareness, just identify any thoughts or emotions that come within awareness. you have emotions, you can give them a name. They could be common names like happy or sad. It could be not so common names like bubbly or stormy. And you can just release any expectation of anything you're supposed to feel. If you don't feel anything at all, that's fine too. You may just note a general feeling of contentment or peace. Allow yourself to observe emotions and thought as if you were sitting by a river of your own consciousness. And as thoughts come by floating down the river, you can acknowledge them and just let them pass and release them. Now send your attention to your sense of connection with the world around you. You may allow yourself to call to mind your loved ones, those you care about, evoking the feelings of connection in the many ways in which you're connected. You get a sense of this feeling of connection, you can cultivate that connection outwards and contemplate the ways that we are connected to our friends and acquaintances, those in our city, our state, country, all of mankind. Understanding that we are woven into a fabric of creation, just as we pluck one thread, the vibrations affect all. You may connect with your sense of nature, understanding that we are part of a great and organized flow of energy occurring all around us and through us. And we have a place and a purpose within this energy. We can get a sense of what these connections feel like. We can experience them in the present moment as we breathe slowly and softly. Once again, if you become lost in the conduition of thoughts or senses, you can allow yourself to return to the breath and choose your object of awareness. Allow yourself to cultivate a sense of gratitude within the heart. Gratitude for your practice. Gratitude for the work you've done, for showing up for yourself. Gratitude for all the little things in life. Gratitude even for our struggles, for the lessons they teach us, for the ability to grow, the opportunity to learn. turning that gratitude outward with a feeling of compassion for all sentient beings. I invite you within your inner voice to repeat after me. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be safe. And may all beings thrive and flourish. Allow yourself to become aware of the boundaries of the body and the space that the body is occupying. Remaining aware of that sense of gratitude and compassion and joy, choose a way of being that can carry you throughout the rest of your day. May our practice teach us to become aware of the present moment. And witness the life unfold before us. Let's join the breath together. Inhale deeply. Feel your intention. And exhale completely. And when you're ready, open your eyes. All right. That was a little over 20 minutes. Thank you all for joining me today. I'll stand by now and just whatever questions you have for me, I will be ready to answer. We can talk for a while, and if you need to drop off, please feel free to drop off now, or we can sit on here. I'm flexible with my time, so we can sit here for a while. Unmute everybody. All righty. Any observations?
It didn't feel like 20 minutes. Jump in.
Often that happens. We get kind of lost in the spirit world. One thing that I would like to point out for anyone who's still with us is our focus for how we handle thoughts in the moment and when thoughts arise and how we treat ourselves with kindness. One of the things we can do is instead of conceiving that having thoughts is a bad thing, instead of conceiving that thinking is not what we need to be doing in meditation, we can allow ourselves to have thoughts with open awareness. These thoughts are going to come. The brain never stops working. Meditation is not about not thinking, especially this form of meditation, as I've learned it and as I teach it. This meditative modality is about allowing those thoughts to come, gently guiding the mind in the direction of our choosing. And that is the work. That's like doing a rep. That's like in the weight room, lifting weights with the mind. The reps are what make us stronger. The reps are what help us build the neural networks in our mind to help us achieve what we want to achieve with the brain and the mind. Help us direct our attention, help us be kind to ourselves, and help us live with open awareness and vulnerability that allow us to experience things. So the thinking that we experience during a meditation session is normal. It's going to happen. It's always going to happen. And if you have a lot of thoughts, that's okay, because that's a lot of reps. And that's doing the work, and meditation is a kind of work. And the things that are most beneficial to us are those things that we put time into and that take effort. There's a lot of studies that have been done on learning, and the best ways that we learn is by putting time and effort into things. That effort causes growth in the brain. It actually causes structural growth and connections within the neurons of the brain, so that we can actually strengthen and learn. We're learning how to use the brain. We're learning how to direct our attention in the ways that we want to direct it. So I just want to make sure to point that out. Thoughts are okay. Thoughts are good. Thoughts are what creates the work for us to direct the mind.
Do you find after practicing it a lot that you don't wander as much? So like my thoughts got away and it was timed right when you said come back. So it was great, but will that lessen as we get better at it?
Yes, we'll often experience longer and longer moments of silence. And as we experience longer and longer moments of silence, we can start to really become aware of the difference between the thoughts and the thing that observes the thought, the space in between those things. And it's a really cool place to occupy. The most important part is while that's happening is just to be kind with ourselves and allow it to happen. We will start to notice that happening more and more, but we can release ourselves from the expectations of going after that. Like we're not trying to force the mind to achieve anything. We're practicing the non-judgment, the kindness to self, the kind intention that allows us that space with our own bodies and minds to direct that attention, to allow it to experience whatever it's going to experience, to have a self-directed experience that often contradicts limiting beliefs and forms of stress, forms of suffering. And we can allow ourselves just to experience whatever we're going to experience. And if that's thought, then we can practice being okay with that. We can practice letting the thoughts come. We can practice gently moving the mind in the way that we want it to go over and over again. And those spaces will become more pronounced over time. I still have days though when I can't stop thinking. I mean, it happens. It happens a lot, especially during stressful times. So that's where practicing being kind with the self really comes in handy.
Thanks, Ben. Looking up some questions that are in the chat. Just thinking how in the scope of this practice, I know for myself that it took me post-COVID a month to be able to breathe without pain. Thinking is the process kind of the progression that you're envisioning with this group to increase lung capacity, to kind of test lung capacity, et cetera? Is there something, what is your vision or correlation or nexus with COVID and these really helpful exercises, by the way? And it truly did not feel like 20 minutes.
Excellent. Thanks for bringing that up. I didn't address that when we were talking earlier. So specifically for how we're trying to regulate the narrative that our mind is telling us and communicating within the body, these practices can help us release from beliefs or sensations or ruminations, or rather focus on specific sensations that say we're supposed to feel a certain way, or that suggest to us that we won't feel another way, or that we can never feel anything different than what we're feeling now. The science tells us that these meditative and contemplative practices are beneficial for our immune systems, for our recovery, for our physical sensations by living within the body. It will benefit the way that we experience. It will change our subjective experience of being in the physical body. So what I envision is using meditation and contemplation as a practice that goes along hand in hand with breathing, where breathing is something that we can do that will trigger physiological changes in the body mechanically, whether or not we believe in them or not. They happen irrespective of the mind. We can induce sympathetic and autonomic nervous system tone change just by breathing differently. And when we marry that along with the practice of directed attention and kind intention and open awareness, practicing being vulnerable, that makes it even a more powerful tool. So we learn a tool, let's say we learn a breath tool, we can then use our attention and our focus to harness that breath tool at times of our choosing and times of stress, to relax the body, to release tension, to tell ourselves a different story to allow ourselves to release past stories about how we believe that we should be feeling right now. So physical triggers suddenly cause us, like especially with people recovering from COVID, the feeling of needing to breathe, breath hunger can trigger a lot of different things within the mind that can have physical expressions within the body. And so we can allow ourselves to become aware of other sensations, of all the other sensations that are present in right now in the present moment, not just that one thing, not just the discomfort, that allow us to experience different things right now in the present moment. I'm gonna go. Okay, I'm really behind on the chat. Let me catch up real quick.
I think there's a commonality in the chat that it's when you get it 7 and 8 months and you find the challenges and you want to feel that you're better and you're not, like, you have to pull back to go forward because it's not a regular thing where you feel better, you can do more. And so then the mind plays tricks. I don't know, hopefully I'm saying the same thing some other people are saying. It gets really rough. So having something like this to go back and rebalance. I was having a conversation yesterday about it, like just even allowing ourselves to say, yes, we are sick and we have to just do this. It's a choice every day. So to have this, to bring ourselves back to make that choice, I think is good. And I was trying to use the breathing technique of making it go lower instead of out of here. So to continue to positive physically as well as mentally.
Right, to go lower in the belly breathing and out of the thoracic. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's correct, but that's what I was doing. Yeah.
Yeah. So for the meditative practice here, I'm looking at, so for one example, like what Jamie says, I observe that my lungs still burn when I breathe. How do I get past that? One of the things that for the meditations that we're doing now, we don't really want to induce any sort of anxiety that takes us out of the present moment, that pulls us out of the present moment, that makes us feel so much anxiety or discomfort that we can't remain within the present moment in the meditation. So for when it comes to the breath work, I would say when we're having too much discomfort, and we just back off it. We just back off it and allow. If I have a breath tool that says we're gonna inhale for a certain amount of time and hold for a certain amount of time, and that's not working for you in the moment, it's not serving for you, just release it. It's okay. Just do whatever the body is calling for in pretty much any practice. This practice right here is specifically for really geared towards releasing expectations, letting go of narratives that say that we have to feel a certain way, becoming okay with uncertainty and whatever exists within the present moment, whatever that may be, and being okay with what the subjective experience of now is, and allowing ourselves to possibly have a subjective experience, to have a physical experience that contradicts what the old narrative is, the pain, the helplessness, the rage, anything that's negative that we're feeling. We can have a physical experience that contradicts those feelings by connecting with the other things that are there, our sense of connection with the world around us, our sense of connection with others, our feeling of peace within, being able to cultivate gratitude and joy. These are very positive things. Now, and here's the reality: that takes time. It takes time and it takes effort. And what the studies show us is that a lot of the studies show that after 8 to 12 weeks is kind of the golden range for these practices to take effect. And the amount of time we want to spend doing this is daily. We want to do this daily. And if it's only 5 minutes that you have, then that's fine. Just give 5 minutes. If you have 20 minutes, we can do 20 minutes. Usually, the more when it comes to meditation and contemplative practices, the longer we do them, the better they are. We're not monks. We don't live in caves. We don't have 10 hours to meditate a day. So if all you have is 5 minutes, by all means, 5 minutes is better than nothing. You'll get something out of it. If you have 20 minutes for a regular daily practice, that's kind of where most of the studies fall in with the beneficial range. Daily is really the amount of time we should be doing this in order to get the time and effort to build the things that we need to build in here. Let me go back to So yeah, the goal isn't really necessarily to make the breath. We're not trying to force the breath to do anything. We're allowing the breath. We're allowing the breath to do what it's going to do in the moment, and allowing ourselves to sit with the breath in the present moment. How's it? So over time, so this is something. If we, as you go through more breath work, you may be able to find, and this is going to be totally subjective for your experience. You may be able to find that you can become more accustomed, or more, you can sit for longer periods of time with longer breaths with what's happening inside the body. And that's a subject for what's gonna come in a week or two. Sitting, how we sit with discomfort, how we sit with feelings that we don't like, how we cling to certain feelings, how we are averse to certain feelings, and learning how to, number one, recognize when we are clinging to something, recognizing when we are averse to something, and allowing ourselves to sit with whatever sensation that is. Yeah, this is really a practice about dealing with the emotional, the anxiety side of it, the emotional aspects that are exhibited physically in the body in response to triggers. That's what really this practice is going to help us with, especially the meditative side of it. David, okay, I'm glad this really helped rebalance you. That's great. And I'm really thankful. Yeah, thanks for the kind words. I'm glad to show that this helped rebalance some of y'all and help y'all feel pretty good. I'm on it. So right. So Kavina says, should I incorporate meditation with the breathing, or have my breathing and meditation practice have to be separate? Great question. No, they don't have to be separate at all. And that was kind of what melding them two together in this practice was kind of what I'm trying to help y'all develop over time, is how to put the two together, how to incorporate the different aspects and different meditative and contemplative modalities into a single practice, and develop that for yourself as you need it in your life. They can be part of the same practice, and you can choose which object of awareness you want at any given time. If that's the object of awareness is the breath, or the object of awareness is the sensations that are happening within the body, or all of it all together at once. Just like you look at a painting and you can take in the whole painting, or you can look at one specific aspect. So it is the same with the palette of our own sensations of living within this body. So we're going to get what the point is, like, to get really good at sensing what's going on in the body, integrating that across brain structures, and really being able to integrate experience and have a subjective experience that incorporates everything from the present moment, not just whatever discomfort that we're feeling, whatever emotions that are overwhelming us at a time. We can focus on a lot of different things. I think if there's anything I missed in the chat. So yeah, a lot of this is going to have a lot of the benefit that we're going to get from this is the restructuring of our mind, the restructuring of how we conceive of what's happening inside the body, discerning all the different sensations, and then connecting those dots across different contemplative domains. So that can have a lot of powerful effects. We can have a lot of insights while we're meditating. That's why I keep on stressing, thoughts not a bad thing while we're meditating. Sometimes you'll have insights in the middle of it. You'll be like, whoa, that blew my mind. I didn't realize that. I didn't think about energy that way before. I didn't think about my own body in that way before. So we don't want to push off thoughts. It's okay. The thoughts are what allow us to do the work. Oh, there's what I missed. I find breath better laying down versus sitting. Yeah, some people experience that. Some people experience that they can breathe easier lying down. If that is where your body is and where you need to be, by all means lie down. We don't have to force the body to do anything. We don't have to force the body to be in any position that it does not feel comfortable in. Allow yourself that leeway. So the triangle breath is simply we can do the triangle breath in 2 ways. We can do a hold at the top. Imagine it as an inhale with one leg of it that is longer than the other. So an inhale and a hold at the top with the suspension at the top of the breath, or an inhale and then with an inhale and exhale and a hold at the bottom. So and today we started with lengths of 4, with three lengths of 4, with 3 sides of 4. You can invert that triangle depending on where you are, and they don't have to be any set length. It can be 1 second each. Like, does that make sense? It could be like an isosceles triangle. It doesn't have to be equal sides. It can be one side can be shorter than the other. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
I started with 4 just because that's usually a pretty achievable number for most folks, but it might not be in the moment for you. So if you don't want to do 4 seconds, then by all means do less than 4 seconds. It can be 1 second. It's up to you. Okay. Great. I really enjoyed practicing with y'all today. Thanks so much. Any more questions, please let me know, and I will definitely hit them up. I think there's probably a few things that I missed today, but what we'll do for the next practice is we'll just recap some of the information that we provided from the previous one. So we'll just recap some of those basic points, and then we'll go into providing some more information and some more tools for the next practice. Cool.
Thanks, Ben.
All right. Thanks all so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
night.
All right. Namaste, everyone.
Bye.
Namaste.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.
I just had a quick last question, Ben.
Okay.
I see that you're recording this. Will it be available for us to review, to watch it?
It will be. Absolutely.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
Next week.